getting started here for the CSGO season. Can't be more happy with that. Um, we do have some unexciting games. I feel like we have a few big favorites, but that won't stop us. We can talk about it anyway. So there's not going to be a recap of yesterday's slate in this video. I'm sure, as you guys could tell in the bottom right, when I my time and stuff, there's currently 10 a.m. and 13 degrees outside. It's currently snowing here, so probably going to be pretty busy today, and won't be able to make this video later on. But we do with what we can. And the first series already happened. I'm currently recording this in between the first and second series. So Entropic did end up getting the 2-0. That wasn't exactly a shock to any of us by any means. They were the much better team. The other series is yet to happen, I believe, if we go over. Yeah, the game is starting right now. So not a lot to look at. It looks like they have another new player here for AGO. Looking for Org, looks like it's the same roster, but again, for transparency, I did say yesterday I didn't plan on having any money down on this slate, and I went through with that. I ended up not playing that slate at all. It looked pretty bad from pretty much every standpoint possible. You have a really big favorite, and then the other series is a complete toss-up with unconfirmed rosters. So, I mean, if I'm being honest, if you played that slate, you're just a complete degenerate. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all are a little bit. We all have our moments, but that one was a little bit too bad for me. So, we can talk about some real games tomorrow. So the first one up is MIBR, in case you guys don't know, that stands for Made in Brazil, Brazilian org. Pretty popular, probably the most popular Brazilian org, right up there with Furia. And there's gonna be a lot of fan hype behind this team, at least from the Brazilian side. And I forgot these aren't even the matches are not gonna be for a while, so I have to look for them. We can start with just match history and stuff of these teams. Vegas odds side, complexity minus 230, MIBR plus 170. That seems a little wide, but about right. As you guys could see, both there's just such a weird thing going on here. With these teams, they both seem relatively not good, but they are evenly skilled. The reason I'm a little surprised to see the odds on this is because normally when a team like MIBR gets the upset over the number one team, Navi, and then they have two decent performances, 9 rounds in a loss isn't bad per se. It's especially against teams that are perceived much higher quality, like Astralis and OG. And then over on the complexity side, they've just lost twice. They lost to G2, lost to Big. Again, respectable scores, especially that 12-16 against G2. They are G2 are probably the third best team, I'd have to reckon, right now. Pretty early on, I think that there's a lot of teams that we necessarily haven't seen play, Gambit, for example, is probably going to be up there as well. Gambit probably number 2, I'd have to imagine, and then G2 third, Vitality fourth, maybe something like that. But still very little to go off of. You guys know I don't know. I have liked this complexity team, but the odds here just seem a little off. I don't think there's any doubting that complexity are the better team. Although they're still relatively close. They're definitely in the same sphere, and I don't know. It just feels a little weird to me how I don't know. They both have similar losses. MRB have the win over Navi, and Complexity are perceived to be like a better team, but they're still minus 230 here. I don't know. This is a tough one. I don't know. Normally when I have this level of like indecision and we have a decent sized underdog and a decent sized favorite here, I mean plus 230, plus 168, those are pretty decent odds you're getting on that underdog shot there. But I don't know, it just seems a little there's just like so many question marks I feel like here in this series. I mean they've both only played like they Complexity here, sorry, have played 2 maps, 2 losses against better teams. MRBR have a random win upset over Navi, and then 2 losses against Australis and OG. Now, I do think Big and G2 are better than Australis and OG, and you could see like Complexity got more rounds. But when the only thing you have to go off of is round differential and 2 map losses, I mean, that is just like the slimmest of sample size that you could possibly get. And although I am somebody who is not afraid to use a small sample size, like I've preached over and over, I think when you consider CSGO and how day-to-day it is, I don't mind looking at a small sample size, but that is like the smallest of sample size. So I don't know. There's just a lot of question marks here. I think if you're thinking like objectively here, this price is just too wide. I think it should be a little bit closer. I think Complexity like minus 170, MIBR plus 130, something around those lines. It seems a little bit more accurate to me. And again, as I'm saying all this, it feels like I should be saying, take the MRBR underdog side, but there's still just a part of me that feels like there's just a lot more potential and upside in the Complexity side, and the MIBR team just seems like maybe they had a good initial punch, like they're a good fast out the gates, getting their jobs done. Again, thing to remember with these group stage games to go off of, it was one day. Like although MIBR played these 3 maps, there was all still one day of data. And I remember recall back to like 2 minutes ago when I said things are so day to day and things are so like changing quickly in the CS:GO scene. So when you think like they played one day on the 28th, they played one day on the 29th. I believe that's what, like 3 and 4 days ago or something, 4 and 5 days ago. I'm not sure, but like it's not inconceivable that you could say MIBR had a bad day and MIBR had a good day, Complexity had a bad day. And again, these are respectable scores against respectable teams. I mean, so are these as well, but a little bit lower teams. And they have a win over Navi. Like obviously you're going to tend to be believing that the win over Navi was relatively fluky. Like you have like MIBR is like a top 50 team maybe, and then Navi's like the number 1 team coming off of I don't know how many tournament wins in a row. So you have to like, where do you draw the line in this was a fluke versus maybe there's something there? I don't know. I'm somewhere like in between. I'll probably, I don't know. I just can't help but lean the Complexity side a little bit more. I just think maybe this is something where we can look at the pricing and maybe get a little bit of a better indication. Not a lot to like on the Complexity pricing. Floppy, Grim, and Junior are going to be the ones you want. And Grim is mega underpriced. That is diabolical. I mean, so Grim is going to be a huge mega chalk, and he probably should be at that price. That is weird. I don't know what's up with CSGO pricing so far this year, but it's not been good. I understand they probably have very little data to go off of as well, but I mean, that is still very unideal. I mean, I'd say Junior is better than Grim. I think when you don't look at these stats, because I mean, remember this team is 1 map win and 6 defeats. They have a very low team kill death ratio. So there's not much data, and even then, it's all data and losses. If I'm ranking this team in terms of who I want, it's probably Floppy, Junior, Grim Fang, then JT. One thing to remember with JT is I believe he's still just stuck in North America, but they're playing in Europe, so he has that extreme high ping disadvantage. He's playing with a lot of lag and that kind of stuff, so he's not going to be somebody you want to play either way. But that's something you want to X off as hard as you possibly can from wanting to put in your lineups. So, I mean, I'm leaning complexity. I think Floppy's fine at that price. He is their best player, and he's 8K only. I think Floppy and Grim are going to be big chalk. If you're feeling bold and feeling frisky, I don't necessarily think that going the MRBR side is that crazy. I don't remember how to say this guy's name. I believe it's like Barnzarn or something. But like that wouldn't be bad to go off of. I believe Exit and Jota are like not that far behind, but they're still not that great priced as the underdog. It feels like DraftKings is kind of saying this game is a pick'em. It feels like the pricing seems relatively close. I feel like MRBR should be a little bit cheaper for how much of a perceived underdog they are. Jota seems a little underpriced, but that's still not that great. And again, over on the MRBR side, we only have the 3-game sample. I believe they haven't. Oh, they have played some more. So we can. Oh no, I forgot to change that. So they do have some. Nope, that's not. We don't need cello. I don't know what I just did with the stats here. So we need Barnzarn. Yeah, this roster has only played 3 games. So yeah, not a lot to go off of, not a lot to love there. This is one where you probably just go with the complexity side. You probably just kind of eat the chalk there with like Grim and Floppy, for example, but you don't love it, and you wouldn't. From my point of view, at least, I think you say if MIBR win, and people who got there, kind of deserve it. I guess you could say. Don't love it, but probably not like huge captain love. But I don't think like Floppy and Grim are pretty good at their price. I think from that series. Heading over to the second series, we have Na'Vi Liquid, and this is a banger match. We had Na'Vi who dropped that map to MIBR, and then they came back, I believe. Let's see. Nope, they just lost to Astralis and OT. So this is do or die for Na'Vi, and I don't know, it feels a little weird that they're still minus 650 over Liquid. I mean, it feels like, I don't know, this is just really tough to look at. Again, we have like one day, or they have like one day, which is 2 maps, maybe 3 maps of sample size here, and that is just not enough really to get like any gauge. I mean, I'm fine with having like a few maps here and there, but when it's all in one day, it just feels like there's just like so little to go off of. I don't think there's any question in people's minds that Na'Vi had a like pretty abysmal day here. I think they were minus 1200 against MIBR, like an absolute huge, massive, like can't get any more of a favorite against MIBR, and they lost. I don't remember what they were against Astralis, but I'd have to imagine somewhere in the like minus 400 range or something. They got that loss as well. And we have Team Liquid over here, Team Overtime, it looks like, playing 3 straight overtime games, 2 losses and a win. all three on the same map, 2 against FaZe, 1 against EG. I mean, I get the price, but I also kind of don't. Like, I understand why Navi is the big favorite. They're still the #1 team. Then you have this North American team with like 3 new players. The pretty much the only ones that are the same is Nafa Liege. We have Nitro coming back from Valorant, Shox coming from France, OC coming out from the tier 2 scene. Now, there's a lot of question marks there with TL, and you have the reigning major winning team, the highest pedigree possible, probably like unanimously agreed the #1 team in the world. So I get the price, but it still just seems so wide to me. Like, I don't know. It just seems crazy. Like, I like Navi. I obviously love their players. Like, probably gonna have to go to a 3-month sample size here for them, but I mean, it's like pretty much everybody on this team can have good games, but Simple, Bit, Electronic, obviously. Bit seems actually like relatively normal priced. Electronic is overpriced, I think. Of course, everybody's going to want to get to Simple. And then I actually like playing Perfecto a good bit. Perfecto actually usually does get like some decent like clutch stats. He's like known as like one of the more known clutchers in all of CSGO. So he can get some extra points and stuff that way if he's having good games. I don't know. Like, I think this FaZe team looked pretty good. I think this EG team actually looked surprisingly not bad. And it's hard to gauge because they all looked similar. So you can't look at that and say like, oh, they all look good or they all look bad, because they all just look the same, and there's like no barometer really to compare them to other than each other. And if they all look the same, it's like, yeah, they're in the same group, but where is that group? If you kind of catch my drift there. So I don't know. Again, it's hard to feel great, like, really here. We know Na'Vi is going to be overwhelming chalk across the board. We know Simple is going to be like 80% owned. We know Bit's probably going to be like 60, something like that. I don't know. Like, maybe I think this is going to be a close series. I mean, Simple had a 1.0 with a 0.99 rating. I don't know, guys. I'm borderline tempted to call like the Liquid upset here. But again, like, we have 1 day of sample size. So if Na'Vi come out super strong, like if Bit, Simple, Electronic, if these guys come back and they're just like firing on all cylinders, like you can just get stomped so hard, and you know they're gonna be so heavily owned that you're gonna need them for sure. I don't know. Then over on the other side, wow, those KDs from Shox and Nitro, that's like borderline bannable, I think. Holy. Nitro's like over -10 a map. Whew, that's rough. I mean, this is tough. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I'm just going to say I think Team Liquid are pretty, like, really undervalued here. I'm going to take the Team Liquid underdog shot. I might leave off Simple. Like, that's something I never imagined myself saying. I know you guys probably don't know this, but I've historically been a huge Simple fan. If you guys are new to the CSGO scene, you guys probably just know Simple as the crazy, like the best player, craziest player in the world, #1 for sure. And it wasn't always that way. Simple actually has a crazy past of, let's bring it up this way. This is going to be a little story time, so if you guys don't care for that much, you can skip ahead. But when you look at Simple's teams, so before he made his move to Na'Vi in late 2016, he was actually on Team Liquid, believe it or not. And this was like borderline Simple's last chance to go like rise in the pro scene. like before that, he was on teams like Hellraisers and Flipside. Hellraisers and Flipside are like decent, like middling tier 2, tier 3, CIS, CS teams. And he was just like, he was like teamless between September 2015, or between November 2015 and February 2016. And I want to say this was before they had like unanimous like player breaks. So this wasn't just an off-season teamless thing. Like, this was teamless. Like, he was legitimately like not finding a team. And and that sounds extremely crazy considering how he's like the world-renowned unanimous #1 player in the world now. And he was an extreme talent back then even. I don't know if he has any HLTV top 20s. Yeah, he was a #4 player in 2016. I don't know if it goes back any further, but like even back then, 2016, 2017, he was a crazy like highlight player. And everyone knew he was good, but the problem was that the rumor was that he was so incredibly toxic and he was just so selfish, and it seemed like he wanted himself to perform more than the team. Again, that's the perception. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it just seemed like he was this kind of wild wrecking ball of insane skill, but not much refinery, or not much refined there, and not much of like team effort. It seemed like he was a my way or the highway type of person, and if you disagreed with him, then it's hard to disagree with him because he's going to be the best player on the team, for example. So I've been a fan of Simple, I think, legitimately since before he like was even on one of these teams. Like, I know for sure I was a huge proponent of him when he was on Flipside. I was a huge Simple fan when he came to NA for Team Liquid, when he helped Team Liquid get to the major finals. And that was back when North America was a complete laughingstock. It seemed like it was asinine to even think that a North American team could progress at a major. And, I think Team Liquid kind of unlocked North America in that way, or Simple on Team Liquid unlocked North America into thinking like maybe it is possible for us to win. And then, of course, after he kind of reproved himself on this Liquid roster, that's when he got his move to Nodus Vincier, and of course all these trophies since then. So I don't even remember where I was going with that, but the point is, Simple's been great for so long. Bit is an upcoming talent, probably the like #1 or 2 prospect in the world. It's either between him and Monesi, but probably would be Bit. Of course, we know how individually skilled Electronic is. Boomich as the in-game leader, and Perfecto as like a exquisite role player. He actually does his role very well. I don't know. It's like, again, this is like kind of the exact same thing I said from the first series. It's how much do you want to buy into the 1 day couple map sample size, and how much do you want to give a pass? I think there's good buying opportunities on both of the underdog teams here, because it feels like the books are on the side, or at least the book that I'm looking at here on Bovada, it seems like the side that they're going with is they're giving passes. And I understand it. Like, you don't want to say, oh, Navi and Simple are cooked just because they lost 1 day, two maps in 1 day. Like, that just seems silly. But it's also like, what if? Like, what if they are starting off slow and they have a bad tournament to start the year and they just need to like rework things out? Like, it doesn't feel crazy to think that also. Like, again, I'm somebody who's pretty high on this Team Liquid roster overall, and I'm also high on Navi. Like, I don't want to give the wrong perception here. Like, I still think Navi is the #1 team in the world, and they will be going forward. But like, maybe they're just not feeling it right now, And minus 650 for 2 top tier teams seems a little crazy. And I think if you do end up going with the Team Liquid side and fading Simple, Electronic, Bit, fading Navi completely, that'll be enough right there, just doing that, to make your lineup unique. So you can eat like the complexity chalk fine or the big chalk. You know, you can do whatever you want if you go Team Liquid and leave off the Na'Vi players. You know, I actually kind of talked myself into it here. Like, I know it seems completely crazy. You know, maybe I am. This is maybe something where we look back and laugh. But, you know, maybe Na'Vi are not the undisputed, undefeated, like unbeatable Titan that we think. Maybe it's temporary. Maybe it's not. Who knows? We can't speculate off of one day of performances. But maybe that's something where you just want to be early to the Na'Vi is not the undisputed, undefeated #1 team in the world. And, you know, all thrones have to topple eventually. Maybe this seems early, but maybe you want to take the chance and be early there. And maybe this is your chance to get on the Team Liquid side and join me in saying Team Liquid is actually pretty good. Maybe Na'Vi isn't the Titan #1 team, you know, that they were, and take the shot there. So that's where I'm leaning. You know, I'll maybe take the Team Liquid side, like 2-1. Again, I think these will be close maps, close series. Maybe Na'Vi get the, you know, I could see Na'Vi getting a 2-0 with like 2 really close maps. Like, that's definitely in the cards. But, you know, I think it's going to be close, and you're getting minus 650. We know the ownership is going to be there with Na'Vi, so I'll take the Team Liquid side. It seems like their kill share is extremely condensed. OC, Naf, Elige. Although OC's like stats are the best, I still think Naf and Elige are probably where you want to be, because I think Naf and Elige are more proven at this top level. I could see OC having like a bad map here or there, and that could be pretty bad. So I think Naf and Elige are still who you want from this team. But it honestly wouldn't be that crazy to go with this 3-man stack. It's not, I think in 3 gamers, optimally, it's 2-2-2 just across the board. But I don't even think it's that crazy, especially when you consider Shocks and Nitro's kill shares are so low that if Team Liquid win, it's going to be through OC, Naf, and Elige, all 3 of them. So I don't think it's that crazy to go to that 3 stack. Maybe that might actually just be something I end up doing. But we'll talk about overall roster construction towards the end, because I need to kind of speed up this video a little bit. I'll keep going on these tangents. But I think it sounds like you guys kind of like that as well, throwing in some like history and stuff. If you guys are listening to this point, let me know if you guys like it when I you know, kind of talk about some CSGO history, because I have plenty of that. Like I said in the first video I made, I've been in this scene for like 8-10 years maybe now, since I was like 15. I bought my first drivable car. I bought my first car when I was 16 using CSGO gambling money, believe it or not. So that was like when I was 15, 16. So I've been here for a while. Heading on to the 3rd series, we have Evil Genius's Big. Big minus 190, EG plus 144. If you showed me this price pre-tournament, I would have laughed and taken Big minus 190 with my house saving, with my house. But again, this is something where we look at that entire group of like FaZe, Liquid, EG. I don't even remember the other team there. Maybe, yeah, I don't remember. But like, how good are they? Oh yeah, it was Vitality, and Vitality just kind of stomped everyone, didn't they? I guess they lost to FaZe. I guess they stomped EG. So it's like Team Liquid and EG is like the kind of North American like rivalry for the ages. Like, these 2 teams have been the top 2 teams for a while, pretty much since Cloud9 left the scene in like, I don't know, 2018, 2017, something like that. And it's been EG and Liquid since then. So it's not surprising necessarily that they play close. And of course, they've only played Inferno. So like, here's the thing as well. I think NIP and EG were like 2 of the lower end teams, and Big lost to Nip twice. So it's like the same thing as the other series. It's like we have one day, a couple maps of sample. Who do you want? Where do you want to buy in? Do you want to buy in that maybe Nip was good but Big is still fine? Do you want to buy in that maybe EG isn't as bad as we thought? Again, this is a priced pretty close game. I don't think there's a lot to love here overall. Like we look at the players, there's not much in terms of scores. I mean, for goodness sakes, Rush is their second highest performer. That is not indicative of a successful team. I have to just go with the contrary here compared to what I said in the first two series. I'm gonna buy into the actual skill and the actual skill level here, and I just think Big are probably a lot better. I think Big should maybe just get the job done 2-0, although I could see it maybe being a 2-1 just because there's so much unknown. I think Searson is obviously who you want to target. There's not much separating Tabson, Keto, and Favin, so not a lot to love in this whole series. And that kind of brings me to roster construction. So again, we talked about the complexity side. Grim, severely underpriced. Floppy, a little underpriced, but he sounds about right. Junior is overpriced, but I could definitely see him being like worth it and paying that price tag off. I think that's a decent spot where you could like pay up, get contrarian, because we know everyone is going to go simple electronic. They're the only huge favorite on the slate. People love playing Navi anyway. They're not going to have the money for Junior. So that's honestly not a bad idea in like large field GPP tournaments to go with the Junior Floppy or something. Grim is probably going to be heavy chalk because he enables you to get to like simple, for example. Then over in the Navi TL series, if you guys want to ride the Navi train, I don't blame you. They have great players, the number one team in the world. I think looking at the price tags objectively, I think it's fine if you're playing Navi. You want to play simple. His stats are just overall always absolutely crazy. Like you can't avoid that. I think Perfecto is pretty underpriced. I think he's actually like a pretty solid player. Again, I said he gets some like clutch bonuses and that kind of stuff, and he can have some good maps as well. He's a pretty pop-off oriented player, so I think Perfecto's pretty underpriced. I think Bit is at a fair price. Electronic seems pretty overpriced. But then again, like I don't think it's really possible to play like simple and electronic. I guess maybe you could, but then even if you go with like the cheapest captain you can in Grim, like it's still not great. Yeah, I mean there's just not a lot to like there. So I'd imagine electronic could maybe be a pay up for contrarian spot as well. However, I feel like although he does have some upside, there just feels like there's a little bit too many mouths to feed on Navi. It feels like everyone could get there. It's just kind of playing the lotto of who. And, I'm personally just not going to go there. I think we talked about it pretty heavily on the TL side. OC, NAF, Elige. There's honestly real merit in triple stacking that. Like if they win, it's probably going to be through those three, and they're pretty individually skilled. I think this is a relatively close series. The price seems a little off. So I'm going to take my shot on TL this week or this day. Maybe that's a complete clown take. We'll see by the time the games roll around, but that's where I'm leaning for now. I think that's a fine. I think it's a fine underdog shot, regardless of necessarily who you think is going to win, because like I've said, the Navi team will garner insane amount of ownership. So, Elige pretty underpriced, NAF, OC all pretty good. Yeah, not a lot to love there. And EG Big, I think this is probably a series you want to be pretty like low on overall. It seems like both teams are not great for DFS scores and kill death ratios and all that. Searson is still like their third price player, even though he's their number one player. So he's probably going to be like chalk there as well. But I think he's deserved chalk. He's just simply mispriced. He should be a great option. Again, I'm going pretty heavy on the big side at least. I just feel like EG are kind of outclassed, and they're getting a little too much respect in the odds markets. I'd actually say big should be like a minus 250 maybe. Like if I think realistically, you guys could like swap the odds of these. Like if complexity was minus 185 and big was minus 220, that would seem a little bit more right to me. Let's see. Tabson, Keto, and Favin are all about the same. Keto's the lowest. So, I mean, Searson and Keto seem pretty good for their price. Tizian's down there. I think you really don't need to get there when you have things like Grim and Perfecto and that kind of low-end player that seem fine. So, if I'm going, I like a big. I think Searson and Keto. I already have my build in mind, at least. Again, I don't want to give out builds, but I'm thinking something of like 2 complexity, 3 TL, and 1 big one-off. I'm sure you guys could parse out where I'm going, but if you want to. But again, I don't want to give out specific lineups. I feel like that's a little scummy personally, so I'll try not to do that. And that's where I'm going. Maybe I'm crazy, but that's a shot I like taking. Again, probably if you want to go TL, you probably need to do it in like the bigger field GPP tournaments where you need to get unique and you can have a lot of leverage on the field. That's where I'll be going. I'm not sure what I'll do in like single entry. I might end up making 2 lineups and I might just eat the simple chalk. I might not. I might play TL in single entry because quick DFS tangent. In single entry, people tend to get too cash gamey. And by that I mean people in single entry contests, I feel like get too safe. And I believe it is fine if you want to play like a cash game lineup, but maybe like make a change or 2. I think that's the optimal way to approach it. But I think people heavily rely on chalk and favorites too much in single entry. They play it too straight up like chalk. And the reason I say that is because when I play things like League of Legends and there's like a plus 250 underdog and I play them in single entry, they'll be like 10% owned. So you need a plus 250 underdog to win, and then you could very well win the single entry tournament, which is like 8x your money maybe, something like that, 10x your money maybe. So it's just optimal from a like profit margin standpoint of playing underdogs in single entry, because if you were to make a $10 bet on a plus 250 underdog, you'd get back $35. If you play a single entry DFS lineup with a 250 underdog and they do well and you win, then you're looking at like, at least in the $12, you're looking at like $100 up top, like 80 in second or something, like around that area. So you're looking at like 8x your money, 7 to like 10x your money, depending on the like what tournament you're in. So I think keep that in mind. Maybe I think take a little bit more risks in single entry, 3 max, that kind of stuff. I think people play a little bit too safe in those formats. So maybe I'll end up being crazy and going with the Team Liquid shot even in single entry, just because it's something that I do personally believe in. And like I said yesterday when I said I'm not having money on this, tonight I will have money on this. It's a high level of competition here. 6 pretty good teams. 3 series slate. Finally get more than a 2 gamer, and maybe I might end up having multiple lineups. Maybe like one without Team Liquid just in case. But I think it's worth taking the Team Liquid shot here. Again, I'd recommend going small. Like if you guys are gonna have one lineup for the night. And if you're going to follow me and play the Team Liquid side, Just be prepared to lose, I guess. Don't go too crazy with it. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, this is a crazy misprice, Team Liquid should be favored. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying Team Liquid are mispriced slightly. It should be a close series. I can't guarantee a Team Liquid win, that for sure, but I like taking their shot there. I think it's going to be worth it if it does pan out. So that's where I'm going. I'll go final prediction. I'll go complexity. I'll give them the 2-0. I think maybe they come back a little bit stronger. I'll go Team Liquid 2-1. Part of me wants to say Team Liquid 2-0 just because I feel like they might shock the world here, but I'll say 2-1 to be a little conservative. And then I'll say big 2-0. It feels like that's a little bit too much of a talent discrepancy and like all that kind of stuff. So sorry for rambling, but I just love talking random CSGO tidbits and stuff. So let me know if you guys are tired of me talking about random stupid stuff, or if you guys want to continue having history stuff. Just let me know what you guys want to see. There's no other way for me to, get feedback and adapt to what you guys want, because ultimately, I'm not really here for the views. If I wasn't, I'd be doing something that's not this obscure. But if people don't want to hear it, then I won't talk about it. It's not a big deal. So let me know what you guys want. If you guys made it this far, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys all for coming out and supporting these videos. These videos are doing a lot better than I ever anticipated, if I'm honest. So I appreciate everyone, especially if you guys made it to the end here. You're a soldier, and I appreciate you. So thank you guys, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow. I'd assume there's another decent slate tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see. So thank you guys.